Okay, so today I think is the 8th of October, something like that. Anyway, you can see what's happening here. This is chicken soup, July 2018. I have 2 jars. I'm going to be cooking them up. Okay, and here's a little bit of rice. I'm going to rinse it off and I'll put that in there. And this chicken soup, I'm telling you, is so good. Okay, so I put some rice in there. I put some macaroni in there. Obviously it swelled. Okay? You don't can with rice. You don't can with pasta, although there was 1 or 2 pieces of pasta in this soup when I made it. Initially, that is. And then cooked it down. I got the tomatoes in the canner. Right? I added more water, so I had to add some of that. Okay? And it tastes really good. All it needs for me would be maybe a little more salt and maybe some pepper. Okay, so now it's 10/10/10/10/21. That's October 10th, 2021. And it's going to be a long day. I keep telling myself, people, I won't have to do this next year. Okay? That's my consolement in terms of, you know, not only am I kind of beating myself up here, because you know what I just did? I just ordered cuckoo. Well, not really, but I mean, you can't go wrong. I could always give a bucket to Pastor Granny if she ever got that kitchen and we cooked up a big meal for 100 people. you know, like, there's no waste, right? Anyway, do you see this bucket here? Oh my God, this bucket's heavy. Do you see this bucket? Okay. I just ordered 2 more buckets like this. It cost me $190. And I did that because they're running out. Artisan Farms is on lockdown. They're going to fill the orders that they have and distribute, but they're not taking any new orders because they just don't have the resources to package the product, if they can even get the product. Okay? Now I ordered this. It's a distributor in Canada. That's where I got all my wheat from, people. And my hard wheats last year, I think I got white wheat too last year. I did. And what did I do? I bagged them up into paper bags, and then I vacuum sealed them, and they're sitting in Auntie Shemaine's room. And they'll sit for years, people. Okay? Because it's wheat. And that's the oats and you know, the everything in its casing. Okay? That's how you want to store that kind of stuff. Go into the pyramids, into the tombs, and there'll be wheat that was stored years ago. We're talking, what, 200,000 years ago? A million years ago? 1,000 years ago? Whenever the pyramids were made. And that wheat is still good. You know, it's bringing it to that dormant state, right? So anyway, they don't have the wheat anymore, people. They don't have the wheat buckets. I bought wheat buckets last year. I couldn't get hard red wheat this year, but I did come across through Go Co, which is a distributor for Artisan Farms here in Canada. And when I was talking to them this year, as I was ordering the white wheat, because they had no red wheat, where last year I could buy everything. I could buy the wheat. I could buy the barley and the husks. I bought like 7 different grains in buckets, and I bagged them up. Plus, I got a couple of buckets in my other food storage area where my jars are, and a lot of that stuff, right? Because I've got several places, people. Okay. But this year there was no hard red wheat, and I haven't seen it since. I haven't. Well, maybe you can get a small bag at an astronomical amount on Amazon or something like that. You know, like a 1 pound bag, but you might be able to find it there. But if anything in bulk, you're not going to find it. Well, you'll be lucky to find it. I can't say you won't find it, because you might get lucky and you might find it. I just know that I haven't been coming across it. And they don't even have white wheat. No. They still have the rolled oats, right? But I don't need oats. I got oats coming out of my ears. Plus, I've got grain oats, right, from last year, right? And you can't find the white wheat no more in these buckets. But there were still beans. I guess people just not favoring beans too much. The beauty about the beans, though, people, it's like the chickpea, you can make the flours. Okay? The soya beans, you can make the tofu, and you can make the soya milk. It doesn't mean that you have to drink soya milk straight up in one shot. You can mix it in with other things. Now, Lady P was mentioning to me through comment section in one of my videos. I'm not going to rush with this video, people. I'm so tired. Okay. I'm just staying in the loop. That soya beans, Lady P mentioned that soya beans are not good for black people's brains. People with high melon count, I would assume. I don't know where she got that information from. When I have more time, I'll look into it, because, you know, my kids are half black. My grandkids have African American and African, whatever. You know, black people, black DNA. That one drop rule. That one drop rule. Ping! Drop rule. Okay? So, of course, I'm not trying to damage Amari's brains by giving him soya milk or too much tofu, but as a backup food at an affordable price that's versatile, right? Then it made sense to make the investment in terms of I got a 50-pound bag for like $55. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. And it was organic. So technically those things should be able to sprout even if you wanted to sprout them. And that's another thing I'm going to have to go through after it's all said and done. Figure out what's sproutable and what's not sproutable. Because some things are, and many things, well, actually quite a few of the things I bought are sproutable. And not only are they sproutable, but you know, if you do that, it's even better for you. And I just bought, I had to buy, I did a double batch of organic round peas that are sproutable. And of course, Amari is always on my mind, right? Once it's all said and done, see, I got a little bit of light over there. I don't get a lot of sun in this house. That's another reason why I'm losing my eyes. I'm always in the dark, under fluorescent lights, usually, because I spend a lot of time in the kitchen, and I'm on the computer. And then I go outside and I have shit splash into my eyes when I'm out in the yard working in that crud. And it's even worse now because I can't wear my glasses out there anymore when I'm working, because I just can't fucking navigate. I navigate better without my glasses. They're only dollar store glasses, right? See, that's the problem. If I go get glasses from you know, an eye doctor or whatever, they give me one kind of glass and I can't intermingle it. And if they try and give me those two, you know, one for distance, one for distance and one for reading, and they, right, bifocals, I can't use those either, right? Because I come into too many different light spectrums. And I overwork my eyes all the time. Plus, you know, I'm always on overdrive and I'm exhausted. a lot of the time. So, you know, I need different glasses for different things. But besides that point, what was I talking about? Anyway, I don't really have a hard day today. I just have to spend my whole day in the kitchen. I'm doing laundry today, and I'm filling up my beautiful jars that my son went and got me 3 more cases yesterday. Quart-sized jars. And don't forget, I get those nice amber ones coming in. Oh, I'm so excited for those. And then some quarter pints. Because I told him, I'm doing spices. Do you want some? Yeah, you got hot chili, crushed chili peppers? And I'm like, no, I got chili powder. I bought a whole whack of chili powder. You'll see that when that comes in. But I just kind of bypass. I knew in my heart I should buy them because I know we like them, right? But I bypassed them when I was ordering. And there's a little bugger, he asked me, right? You got chili peppers? You know, crushed chilies? And I'm like, no, I got chili powder, but I have a reason now to put in another order. So they were expensive, $55 for 5 pounds. Ouch. But it was cheaper to do it through Organic Matters website than it was to do it through those smaller packages on Amazon. But now we have 5 pounds is a lot of crushed chili peppers. My son will be very happy. And of course some will go into long-term food storage, right? So anyway, back to the soya milk. Okay, now I have to do some research on that. I mean, it comes down to, like, with a lot of things, it's all in moderation, right? It's like with those seeds, right? You know, you don't want to overdo those seeds. I don't even know how to pronounce that name, A-N-I-S-E, right? Like, you know, there's carcinogens and synonym. Did you know? Did you know? I know now. Okay, synonym. There's 2 types of synonym. There's your regular run-of-the-mill synonym that you go to the grocery store and you just buy, not really thinking about it being subpar to the better synonym. Okay, so I bought synonym, and because I'm giving a little bit now to the kids, I'm like, oh, you know, you have to restock for your storage because you're giving it all away. It's an early Christmas present. And when I give it to them, I'll be like, there's your Christmas present. Right? So anyway, everybody gets a little spice for a Christmas present. That's all they're going to get from Mom. Anyway, you know, I'm looking up synonym and whatever, and because I already, you know, I ordered the chilies, and I thought I'd just scoop up on a bit more synonym, right? Can't go wrong with synonym. And it turns out there's 2 different kinds of synonym. One is the outer bark, which is what you usually buy out and about in your grocery stores. And then there's the other one, which is so-called the true synonym, which is in the inner part underneath the bark, which doesn't have as many toxins because it's on the inside versus on the outside. And of course, I'm like thinking for Mari, I'm like, well, okay, you better buy the one that has less toxins, right? So I ended up buying another bag of synonym. I think I only bought 1 because it was kind of expensive, but I specifically bought it for Amari, right? Because, you know, I'm not trying to pump toxins into his food supply by, you know, just because I'm like, you know, I'm gonna be working on his cookbook, people, right? After everything's all put away and said and done, assuming that I'm still here, I'll be working on the cookbook. And the reason I say assuming that I'm still here is because of what the Canadian governments, more than one, federal and provincial, are doing to the general population into which I fall under that fray. And it's like this. I tell Andre, if they take me away, understand that Nana is fighting for you and Amari. Okay? And you tell them you want to be back with your Nana and your cousin. Because wherever I'm taken away to, people, I'm fighting for my grandkids. Now, keep in mind of what I'm doing here. And I'm telling you from experience, and I know this because I've got the receipts to prove it. The food is not as available as we think it is. The fellas that work at Go2Go Co. that would by this point know me because of the amount of food that I've bought off them over the last 2 years because of what our governments are doing, will tell you that they don't know what's going to happen next year, because that's what they were telling me when I was ordering the white wheat, which they don't have anymore. And how many months ago was that? That wasn't very long ago. What, 4 months ago? It's been about 4 months now, 3-4 months. What happened to all the white wheat? Where did it go? Never mind, you couldn't find hard red wheat. I'm just using that as an example, right? That's why I bought the pinto beans today. Because not only is it shelf stable, and next time, the next 2 that come in, I'm not taking off those white things. I still don't trust those moths because I know from experience what moths can do. They get up underneath and they chew. They literally chew through plastic if they want to get into it bad enough. So, I don't have, obviously kitchen moths, right, are the same ones that end up, wherever, because they're just, right? Some years are worse than other years, right? This year hasn't been too bad. I've only seen maybe 5 moths in total, but it only takes 1 moth to create a party. Okay. So besides that point, when the 2 buckets come, I'm not taking off those white plastic things that hold the lid really nice and tight and everything. And I'm putting those ones unopened away. And they're the last ones to be opened. Unless, of course, when you go to dust and wipe out cobwebs and all that shit, if you see that there's moths in there, then yeah, maybe you might want to think about opening up, right? And double checking at some point in the future. But that's a long time away. I don't have to worry about that. Today I'm opening up this one. I have another one downstairs. So this year I would have ordered 4 of these. I don't remember what I paid 3 months ago, whether it was the same price or whether it was maybe I paid a little more because of cost of inflation. Who knows? I don't know. I know that there was no delivery charge, so I'm happy with the company. I'm happy with the product. That's why I was really disappointed with those cans when they came in all busted up and bulging and, in and out. Like, that was bullshit, right? And so anyway, I'm going to jar up these ones today. That's what I'm working on today. And let's see. Anyway, I ordered another bag of organic popcorn, filling up a big jar of that. That would have been 3 bags of popcorn this year. In terms of organic popcorn, if you were to go out into a grocery store and buy what's there at a small package, you'd be paying just as much, if not more, for the same poundage. Okay? So, I in that situation, I don't feel like I'm losing out other than, temporarily. Because if you were to ask me to do my federal trademark for the United States of America right now, I'll be like, I can't, I'm broke. Okay? I chose my family over a trademark. A trademark that's been basically sabotaged for 21 years. So, it's a hit and miss on that one right now. I still have some time to figure it out. But, it's not like governments want universal school meal programs, school restoration, entrepreneur projects for the community to uplift itself. The government is not on that page, and neither are their unions on average in terms of the people who control the union. It's not necessarily the employee, even though they're a union member, but it is the board of directors of the union that control the agenda. You know, it only takes one bad apple to ruin it for everybody else. So you kind of have to look to where that bad apple is. It isn't necessarily in the bulk of the barrel. Right? Anyway, so I ordered 2 more, and those ones I'm not clipping off those white things. I'm putting them away in long-term storage. You know, I'll just, you know, do my sweeps, look for moths. Every now and then I come across them. The spiders are good. The spiders catch them. You know, spiders are good. When you get into long-term food storage and things have been put away for a long time and you move a bucket, right, you'll see the spiders have made their home, and, you know, they took care of any moth problem before those moths get out of control, right? Because that would be my biggest concern. Outside of the product itself, inside the bucket is spoiled, which we're going to find out today. Okay? I don't remember. I have to go into my videos, seriously. And here's another thing. My computer, I'm transitioning over to my Windows 10 because my Windows 7 is all mucked up and seems to have a virus on it. So nothing's really working well on it. And I don't even know if I can upload this video because I haven't installed anything to be able to convert it. So I might be just here talking in the wind. But when I did the wheats, did they come in buckets or did they come in bags? Maybe I got them from a different company. But that company doesn't have them any more than Go Co has what they used to have. Right? So no regrets. Because, like I said, worst case scenario, and I wouldn't know. It's not even a worst case scenario. If life goes in that direction where the government wants people to stabilize on their lives and become productive members within society on an equal playing field without being sabotaged because their families are being targeted for illegal organ harvesting, for their pension plans, right? For the laundering and money through the healthcare system in terms of medical injuries that go unaddressed as to who injured and why that child, aka Amari, was injured, to prop up a particular system that already has a history of exploiting its so-called patients. You can't prosper under those kind of conditions because as soon as you get even a little ahead, they're going to come somebody within that union, right, and pull the rug out from underneath your feet, and you're going to fall back 10, 20 steps in your life, and to come back is extremely hard, right? I don't think you ever make it back. So for all my efforts, I'm just wondering how they're going to pull the rug out from underneath my feet, because they're sure in hell not going to want me to get ahead, because that's been the pattern. And that's why I tell Andre, if for some reason Nana's not around, because I just can't, because I've been taken away by them. Just always remember Nana's fighting for you, and I'm fighting for Amari, and I'm fighting to get you back, so that we can be the family that we are, in terms of what's left of us, and to be able to live in peace, and eat our food, and be grateful that we have food. With the food disappearing, it kind of makes you wonder if you can even have that in your life. I guess it's because I'm poor and somehow I deserve that, right? I guess it's because my grandkids are poor, so somehow they deserve that kind of life, that is, right? Right? We just have to wait for our numbers to be called. Is that it? Is that how it works? Because that's what's going to be happening to a lot of people. That's what's been happening. So anyway, I'm happy that I did that. I can make flour with those beans. I probably can't sprout these beans. We can try it. I'll leave a few out, and maybe those will be the first ones to see if they sprout. We don't know, right? I do have beans that do sprout, that at some point, that's what I'll be doing. And then incorporating it into foods. It's like having to learn how to be a chef. It's not learning how to cook all over again, but it's kind of like learning how to be, well, a different kind of chef anyway, a bean chef, right? I'm learning how to be a bean chef. It's almost like I'm having to learn to cook all over again, even though I already know how to cook. Does that make sense? Because it's true, right? I'm like, why are you stressing yourself out? You've never been a bean hunter before, never mind one that wanted to cook up the beans after you gathered them up. All right, bean has not been my forte in life, but in light of the sign of the times, it is the most stable, the most affordable at this point, the most nutritional, right? And obviously shelf stable, right? And versatile, right? You just have to get creative with it, right? So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm so tired. Oh, man. But I have to go this last little mile. It's like being on the last mile, right? I got another couple of weeks, and then after that, I want to start making some clothes for Amari, right? Because I have fleece and stuff like that I can do that. He's getting long. He's long and lanky, right? And, but I can make little tracksuits for him, right? He's outgrowing all his sleepers, right? And his arm is here, and I'm like, it's all bare, and I'm like, geez, Amari, what have you done? You know? And I'm like, oh, God, I just want to save money, right? I have everything I need. I just have to clear off my sewing table. So after this is done, that's when I'm going to put these boxes out in the mail, right? I also have a few other things I want to do after all this food stuff is put away, right? In terms of, I'm going to type out that petition, and I don't know where it is right now, but I have the proper paperwork for signatures to be written down, and when I go out with the grandkids to go to the grocery store, assuming I'm allowed to go in, because we don't have our passports, people, I have a doctor's note saying I have an exemption from wearing a mask. That was the last time I seen my doctor. He refused to do my disability form and told me to come back. But as I was leaving, he also told me to take him to court. And I haven't been back yet, and I haven't been to court yet. And I worry about when the time comes when my government with their goons are going to come into my house and try and take me away from my family. Because they can't control me. As they try and accuse me of being irresponsible. And a detriment to society. Those are the conditions I work under. Remember those days? Those are the conditions that I work under. Like the good old days. You see, I'm an old soul. I can admit that because I know too much. I don't know everything, but I know a lot of things intuitively. I know a lot of things instinctively. It's almost like I've done a fair amount of shit back in the day when I wasn't even in this body, because it just doesn't seem to make any sense. Where I get it, where others around me are so completely fucking dumb, okay? And it's not all laziness. Some of it's just pure, I don't want to say dumb, but like a young soul, like naive, like unexperienced, not, right? You know? I don't know. I don't know where that came from either. Other than, I guess, I know that I'm doing the right thing because when the bread starts disappearing off the shelves, when the bread See, they're still making bread, people. They're still selling bread in our grocery stores. But when the bread aisles start to go by half, and people start noticing that there's only half the bread and the other half of the shelves are empty, that's when their instincts will kick in. Where it's almost like I've been there before. And, you know, like breadcrumbs. Why the fuck do I need 2 cases of breadcrumbs? Because when the bread runs out, I know I got bread. Right? Breadcrumbs, they don't really go bad, people. They don't. You mix them in with your food. And it makes food tasty. So, on that note, maybe that's another reason why I do what I do. You know, God gave me an opportunity to do it, and I took it by the horns, the bull by the horns, and I did it, people. I could have put $10,000 on my fucking Commerce CIBC Bank credit card that's still sitting at $17,000 and something. Okay, they took Uncle John in 2015. Uncle John and I, we had plans to have that thing paid off like within a year to 2 years. It was at $19,000. I paid off all the bills, people. I had them down to the 3 major bills. CIBC Bank at $19,000. There was his credit card for $3,500. And then there was my card, another one, little Bismarck, right, whatever, for $1,000. Okay, all the other one, and then there was Royal that him and I had, right, joint, okay? All the other bills that, you know, fridge and furniture and just credit and just whatever, they were all fucking paid for, right? And we were going to do our teeth, everything, and we had it all fucking scheduled out, and they just really sock it to me, right? They really sock it to me, and that was 6 years ago. I went from $19,000 owing CIBC Bank a credit card down to $17,000. I could have taken that $10,000 and put it on fucking CIBC Bank, missed one payment, and they'd be calling me the next fucking day. Okay, well, you missed a payment. Yeah, well, I just did a $10,000 payment. Well, like, what part of that don't you understand? Yeah, well, you're under contract. You still owe us $7,000. In the meantime, they're the ones who participated in criminal activity and basically destroyed Uncle John's life right along with the rest of his immediate family. And my family is living proof of that. So they can get their little $300 a month payment and feel proud of themselves. That they exploit vulnerable families and the elderly. Because that story will never fucking change until they step up to the plate and do the right thing. And hold Fraser Health Authority and the BC, British Columbia, Canadian government to account for the criminal activity that they facilitate within their hospitals, people. And other union-oriented agencies, aka so-called ministries. You know, as I'm doing these jars, stuff is, my nose started to run. It's supposed to be pharmaceutical grade, food grade, right? In terms of, it's not toxic. I know that when I had chickens, someone suggested I get this to put with their feed and stuff, right? But I know farmers use this stuff on the farm. I'm not sure if people eat it, right? I don't know. Anyway, I just know it's good for parasites and it's a kind of an antibacterial type of, you know, parasitic. I don't know. I'll have to do more research on it. But as I'm doing this, right, now it took me a while to get them in the jars, right? As I'm doing this, I'm like, seriously, I'm thinking about Uncle John, thinking about CIBC Bank, and, you know, and how I still owe $17,000 after all these years, right? It's like I said before, people, I paid off a whole lot of bills, right? Oh, because I went into $40,000 into debt, right? Remember, people? And, you know, and I brought things down, and I was at a point where, you know, I said, okay, John, now we can just focus on the 3 major bills. There was only 3 of them left. Yeah, you see, that bank, they knew. They knew, people. They knew that Uncle John and I were going to pay them off, and they didn't want that. That's why they got me on lockdown with $200 a month in interest every month for the last 6 years. Well, it was more than that because I owed $19,000. Now I owe $17,000. Crooked shit. That's real crooked shit, people. That's perpetual fucking slavery. Perpetual manufactured poverty, right? Because they seen through my credit score how I was paying off the bills. And they knew I was coming next for those ones. Right? Because, you know, they monitor how you spend your money and what you do with it. And they, you know, they can kind of guesstimate what your next move is going to be. And they knew I was going to start bringing down those bills. And they didn't want me to bring down those bills. That's another reason why they were real quick on jumping on the bandwagon with that Eleanor, John's sister, to medically kidnap him and steal his money and put me into perpetual fucking debt slavery. Yeah. Fucking right. That's exactly what they did. So anyway, this is where I'm at right now. Oh, I gotta be careful I don't start knocking things down. So I leave one jar up, right, and one small one up. As I use, I can go into the big one and fill up the small one, put the big one away, versus having to, right, because this will get me probably 3, it depends, right, depends. Anyway, hold on. Okay, so I've got 4 jars left, you can see. So I got those amber jars coming. I've got 16 of them coming because they sell it in packs of 4. They were expensive, but anyway, I just want to move things along, right? So this is what I'm going to put in the 4 jars. You can see whole cloves. Now I've got another bag coming, so that's good. This one here should be enough to put into 1 jar, but because I only have the 1, this is celery seeds, okay? Because I only have the 1, I'm going to order another one. Can you see what's in celery seeds? Okay? Non-GMO. Verified. Alright. And you can see what's going on in here. It's got the zinc. It has a lot of stuff in here. Copper. Not everything has zinc and copper, okay? So that one's going into long-term food storage. Right? And then I'm going to order another bag of this one. I don't need to order another bag of cloves because I've already got one coming. So I don't mind putting this away for long-term. Because these are going to end up being vacuum sealed. Or they will have an oxygen absorber. The finer the powder, you can't really vacuum seal. But if you use an oxygen absorber, then it works really well. Minced garlic, I want for long term, so I'll probably end up ordering another one of those. Because I was looking forward to using this, but I also want it for long term. So these 2 we know that I'm going to be at some point in the future reordering, okay? And then, oops. Oh, yeah, those 2. The cloves I don't need to. And then I've got an extra one of these, which I'm going to put now 1 away for long term. And that gives me that the case of jars that my son came in with yesterday. They're gone. Okay. So, as you can see, look at that. 4 jars, 35 bucks. I bought 16 of them. Because I'm working with spices. Not that I'm using them for spices. I got more spices. Anyway, there's 1 thing of taco. One of these things, on average, fill up a whole quart-sized jar. Okay? So we know I'm going to order one more minced garlic, and I'm going to do another celery seed because those are going into long term after I either put an oxygen absorber in it or I'm going to vacuum seal. More than likely, I'm going to vacuum seal. Okay? Because if I can vacuum seal, I prefer to do that versus, I don't want to be... The powders like this, you won't be able to vacuum seal. Just like with the non-fat powder milk from where I bought it in bulk, I couldn't vacuum seal it. The whole milk I could, but not the non-fat, right? So I had to use oxygen absorbers with that, and it worked. So that's what I'm going to do with these ones. This one will more than likely vacuum seal because it's not as fine powder. We'll see. These containers, I'm going to have a whole bunch of them, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wash them. I'm going to see if these labels will soak off, right? Because they'll make a good container for crafts, okay? Because I have craft material, and maybe these containers will get me going on sorting it out and do something with them. So in the meantime, I'm not throwing those out, right? Pastor Granny came by. Just look at these beautiful jars. Oh, they're so nice. I was looking for something half the size, but I couldn't find it. And when I seen those, I thought, oh, just be done with it, right? And at least get yourself 16. I mean, I'm not going to go nuts on them, assuming I can even find them again. But 16 should be more than enough. Okay, I've been using these all clear ones all these years. I'm not too worried about it. Pastor Granny came by, and look what she gave me. And there's that old faithful Campbell soup. Right? I love tomato juice. A little box there, you can see, with some bread. And I had I had 3 boxes on my what is it called? On my doorstep. And she goes, what's that? And I'm like, I said, well, I'm doing food storage. Yeah. Oh. I buy in bulk. I'm getting ready for doomsday. Oh, well, don't worry, God will take care of you. And I'm like, it's not that simple. God helps those who help themselves. Right? And, I've been through a lot of crazy crap. And I'm not up to being starved out of my house anytime soon. And I mean, I could have taken that 10 grand and gave it to CIBC Bank, and they'd still be phoning me up the next day if I missed their fucking payment. So what would it matter? Because I would still owe them $7,000 when, in fact, that bill should have been paid off 5 years ago, people. Seriously. Okay? They set me up for serious failure. And my kids. Shmei's dead. Alright. Mari injured at birth. I wonder why. Right? It just wasn't the medical kidnapping of Uncle John's for his assets. They moved on as a conglomerate group of organized crime, exploiting the most vulnerable for gain, financial gain, and all that other crap. So anyway, no regrets. Because the thing is, she offered me some bread, and I'm like, well, okay, I'll take a little bit. I don't need any more breadcrumbs at this point, right? Oh, and I always have, why you do that? And I'm like, well, because there's going to come a day where, there may very well be less bread on the shelves. Oh, well, I always have bread, she says, because, people donate to her, right? And that's true. She always has bread, but the thing is, she may move. I can't get completely reliant on her to provide me bread every week. Right? That would be putting a burden on her. What if she decides to up and move? Right? And then what? What's going to happen then? Right? Because I told her, I don't, I have the wheats, right? You ever need bread, when the bread runs out, come to me because I'm the one with the wheat. Because she asked me, what do I buy, like in terms of food storage and bulk and big boxes like that. And I told her I buy beans and, you know, I'm getting ready to hunker down. I'm not taking the vaccine, right? Well, forget the vaccine. I'm not taking the analog, right? I already told you, I've already warned Andre, if they come for me and try and haul my ass out of here and accuse me of this and accuse me of that, whatever they're accusing me of, because I've been accused of with so much shit already, because they coming in and they're taking something, people. That's what it is. They start accusing you shit so they can take somebody or take something from you. Whether it's your non-profit, you know, make it scandalous so nobody wants to help you, or whether it's your loved one because, you know, he inherited money and nobody told him about it and everybody wanted to steal it from him, so everybody just, he got on that bandwagon and then fucked his whole life around, right? Or whether it was illegally harvesting maize, or, you know, right, just on and on and on and on. It just doesn't quit, right? You know? Knowing what I know and knowing what I've been through and knowing that I'm the one that can't buy wheat no more because it's no more wheat to be found. Yeah, it's good that you get bread all the time, but there's going to come a time maybe where you won't get the bread, and maybe it will be my time to give you some wheat so that we can make bread together. Right? Go didn't have no wheat, people. Argosy Farms wheats are gone. Unless, of course, you maybe find something on Amazon. And even then, I don't think you can. I suppose I could Google it, but how much are you going to pay for it? I mean, I could look on Organic Matters and just see if they have wheat. I'm not buying. I don't need it. The pinto beans, yeah, I did, because you can make flour with them, and the beans are good just because. Right, and those other 2 buckets, I'm not even taking. Oh, those buckets were good, man. This bucket, it was well sealed, and it's nice. It's a nice thickness. It's sturdy. It's food grade. So I'll use that for something else. Just like I will use these containers after I wash them and try and soak off these labels for crafts. I could put buttons in them, whatever. I could put bells. I could do all kinds of stuff with this stuff. Walnut powder. I've got, as a matter of fact, I need jars. I know where to find jars. I know where to find a whole whack of jars. I'm pretty sure they're mason jars from back in the day when those walnut trees were dropping 1,000, 1,500 walnuts. Okay, and that's all I did at 4 o'clock in the morning. My hands were pitch black doing walnuts. Okay, if I can get to those jars, I can take out all that beautiful black walnut ink powder, fill up the, well, I don't know if the ink powder would start to, maybe that's not a good idea, because, you know, we'll start eating through the plastic. I think it would be better off just to put crafts in it. So I'm not losing here. Thing is, you don't think I didn't think about, well, I can depend on Pastor Granny to bring me stuff all the time. You know, just, right, put your money on your bills, right? Get Sierra a headstone, right? Like I said, I'm sure Sierra would understand, especially when I feel like she's not even in that thing, whatever it was that they said that they put her in, okay? So, you know, I went with what my instincts are telling me right now, right? So, you have to admit, though, I gotta take a picture for BitChute. Hold on. Okay, so I'm gonna end this video. Now I'm in transition of computers. Like I said, my quote-unquote Windows 7, that's an ancient computer, has a virus in it. So last time I managed to convert it over, but the whole thing is just... Anyway, I'll see if I can just put it there and convert it over and put it on a flash drive and then upload it. Because don't have time to be, I don't want to put too much on my Windows 10. I have other computers in the house that I can put my editors on, but they're older editors. So, you know, the frame size isn't as big with a 780 or 1120 PSI or whatever it's called. Right? I have a newer camera. I just haven't used it yet because I want a newer editing program. I just don't know what program I should get. And I think anything you get these days, you have to download the program from online, and you pay and then you download, versus getting the disc. I'm still stuck on those discs because I can take my discs and I can put one disc over on that computer, and right, the one I'm going to work with Shimei, that's going to be my Adobe Premium 10, because I have that program on disc. I'll put it in there. And then this program that's on Windows 7, which is a different program, I can't think of, Roxio, right? I mean, it works. I'll put that on a different computer. Yeah. But they're all, you know, they don't go with the format today, so I get a new one on my Windows 10, but I'd have to pay for that, and I don't know which one to get. This new camera I have apparently does MP4s. It it films in an MP4. I just don't have a program I can upload it into, like putting it onto my computer into a program that takes MP4s, because my two programs on discs, I don't know, I don't think they do that. Well, I'm pretty sure they don't do that. So anyway, I'll see if I can get this uploaded. Now, I did take the time. I'm telling you, people, I've been doing this for 2 years, okay? All right. I've talked to the fellas up at Go Co, right? That obviously is a major distributor for Argosy Farms. Now, some people may think that their food is not top-notch, high-quality and quote-unquote food, right, in terms of their product line. They're not organic, okay? Like the pinto beans today, these are not organic, okay? Between me working with organic and non-organic, when I opened up this, I could tell that this wasn't organic. Okay, just, I could tell, because I've been working with enough organic stuff for the last, 2-3 months now. It was completely different, but don't get me wrong, I'm happy to have it, so much so that I bought 2 more buckets full. Okay, and they'll be sealed. Seriously, these buckets are, I highly recommend, if you can get this product in these buckets, I'd say go for it. Yeah, because these buckets are good, and you know, the food itself is good, and maybe not as good as organic, but not everything has to be organic, okay? Because, you know. So I did, though, I went back on their website to see what they had to sell, and the only thing that they have, oh my Lord, I wrote it down. Oh, I swear I'm going blind. Now, hold on a second. Okay? This is serious, because last year I was buying all kinds of stuff. Wait till... now, I know the video's dragging and dragging and dragging on. I have this beautiful hand-cranked mill. It's a miller. It's to mill wheat and seeds and that kind of stuff. It came from a Hindu woman. She was selling it online on Facebook, right? And in those days I was driving, right? Or, yeah, I was driving. I borrowed my son's car to go get it. And she sold it to me for $50, man. I'm telling you, though, if I had to go buy it, I don't know, it's probably like a 500 or more hand mill. This thing is like heavy. and it's got a big, it's big, okay? And I haven't used it yet because, I'm always busy, right? Anyway, I did buy a small little one online that supposedly is supposed to grind these wheat berries and whatnot into flour, because the big one is big and bulky, and I just wanted to get started, right? So I figure if it's not too cumbersome to lift it, I mean, the thing is even heavy, right? It's like 25 pounds. Anyway, I thought I'd start off small and to get myself geared up into grinding my own wheat to make flour, because I don't depend on Pastor Granny to give me this lovely bread. I mean, don't get me wrong, people, right? Who wouldn't be happy? Oh my God, it smells so good too. It comes from Cobb's Bread Store, right? But just with the fact of what I've been doing for the last couple of years with wheat, right? Whatever it was that I bought last year, I bought the barley, I bought the oats in its own kernel, the barley in its own kernel, because those you can store long term, right? The try-nut something wheat, the red wheat. It was like, okay, it was easy to do because it was plentiful, right? And then I vacuum sealed them, right? Okay, they're all put away, whatever. I haven't had a chance to get into them, but we're going to get into them, right? I even made it easy on myself. I broke down, I spent $100 for this little teeny weeny compared to what I've already got, right? Just to get me going in terms of, I'm not as strong as I used to be, people. That's another thing I'm noticing. Like, I just not as strong as I used to be, right? So anyway, and then once I get into it and more comfortable with it, that's when I'll bring out the big mill, right? Because ultimately, the stuff that I have been buying tastes so much better. Like when you cook the wheat within it in a soup or something, like a beef soup, and you throw in some wheat kernels, oh my God, you can really taste it. Okay, it's so good. And I can only imagine what the bread will be like once you can get into that routine. Not putting down the bread that was given to me, but if the general public, right, can't get the wheat compared to what was available last year, because the only thing that Go Co was selling in terms of any kind of wheat product was white hard wheat, which I bought 2 of those a couple of months ago. I don't remember what I paid for them, and I don't remember the weight, but in this instance, it's at $83 for 26 pounds. Okay? Whether I paid $83 for 1 bucket at 26 pounds times 2 buckets, I don't remember it. I have to go back into my bills, but I'm gonna, after they send me my pinto beans, I'm gonna write them and I'm gonna send them an email, and I'm gonna ask them to go into my account and just give me a nice receipt, all in one, in terms of everything that I bought from them, even from last year, because I bought hard red wheat in buckets last year, and I bought white hard wheat last year in buckets, because I have them where that blackberry jelly is, which to where I have to go before I can send it out, right? It's downstairs in storage where it's cool. Okay, so that's the last thing that I pack in the box when I send these boxes off that I got on my sewing table. Okay. And when I go down there, you'll see, I'll bring the camera, I have a couple of these down there already from last year, the red wheat and the white wheat. This year, all I could find was the white wheat. Whereas on Organic Matters, last year I was buying the barley, the whole oats, the Triton wheat, the red wheat, whatever. It was just a whole whack of shit that I bought, right? It was like $800, $1,000. And I put them in paper bags and then vacuum seal them, and they're all sitting downstairs in Auntie Shemai's room. Okay. And then this year I topped off only with what I could find. And you see, that's the point. Only with what I could find, which was the 2 buckets of the white wheat. I went on, and that's from Go To Go Co. Right? That's the company name. Okay, they only have white wheat, white hard wheat at this point, and that's at $83 for 26 pounds. Okay, that's a lot of money, people. But for food security, in good solid buckets, it's worth it, considering next year they might not even have them. And if it's not available to the general public, what happens to these major baking companies where this bread that came to me is being made? What happens to them? Right? Because, you know, worst case scenario, there's going to be a bread line, a food line, you know, like in the Depression, 1920s. Right? It may come to that if our governments continue to manufacture that poverty, because that's what's happening, right? Through different levels of criminal activity within our public services sector. So, I figure next year, you'll be lucky to find a bucket of anything. Now, on Organic Matters, all they had was, they had one wheat. I can't remember if it was just, anyway, they had another wheat that I want. Okay? And it was 50 pounds for $56, right? And it's sproutable. So that means that some of this wheat that I have up here, if I remember correctly, is sproutable. I just haven't, you know, you need a bigger kitchen, and, right? You know, you got to get more focused on that kind of stuff if you're going to, anyway, I'm working with what I've got. So it's called red rife wheat, and it's sproutable at 50 pounds. So I went to order one for $56. I thought that would be fine. The only thing is I'd have to either jar them up, right? Or put them in paper, and then I like to vacuum seal to keep the bugs out, right? I would, in this case, if I ever get this 50 pounds of wheat, because they give you an option to ask for a notification when the product comes in. So as soon as the product comes in, I'll get a notification that it's in, and then I can buy myself 50 pounds of this stuff. How I decide to store it remains to be seen, because it won't come in a bucket, right? It's like that powdered milk, the whole milk, or even the non-fat milk from where I buy it from in bulk. Next time, I might just buy it already prepackaged in Mylar bags, just to save myself the stress, right? And it cuts back a little bit on that weight of, you know, jars, because jars can, you know, they start to get heavy, right? I just, you know, there's for every something good, there's always something bad, right? It doesn't matter. So I'm thinking already in my head, if I ever get that wheat, I would probably go off and order myself some more jars at $90 for 4 versus, you know, 72 or 76. Or last time I ordered, I got them at $68 for $4. I got them at $68 for 4 jars versus, what was it, $72 or $74 for 4 jars when I first started off at 66. So it fluctuates, right? So, you know, by the time I get that wheat, that rife wheat, right, You know, these jars might be $100 for 4 of them, or maybe $90, or maybe $80. Who knows? Maybe they'll still stay at that price. And I think I caught them cheating. I bought 4 of these under a different brand name. They come in their own box with their brand name on the box. And then they sell 2 of these, a little cheaper, under a different brand name. So I thought I'll order 2 just to see what the brand is like, to see if the lids will be different. I think they're selling the same brand, but they're just changing the names. I don't know yet. I haven't really, you know, scrutinized these jars yet. But because just the way they packaged the 2 jars, it just, obviously they took them out of something and put them into something else, right? It's not the original package, okay? I don't think so. Whereas these ones, they come in their own box with the styrofoam and everything, so you know where they're coming from, right? The point is if I ever get that wheat, because I'm on notice now, right? I'm waiting for it to show up. Well, the only other choice is a red wheat, 44 pounds. For I don't know what it was, $50 or something like that, give or take, right? So anyway, the point is there's, you know, that's all there is. Right? That's not very much, people. Trust me, I did this last year, okay? There was a lot more selection last year, and there hasn't been any selection this year, okay? And what selection there is, you're now being put on hold, okay? These bakeries that bake bread on a daily basis, okay? So much so that they even donate bread, right? Sooner or later, you know, if they're not already facing it, right? They're not gonna, you know, do they order their flour already pre-milled, right? Does it come in the big sack? And where does it come from, right? Because if the wheat is not there to make the flour, how the hell can it be delivered to the bakery, right? That's why I told Pastor Granny, like, you know, maybe this time next year, you might be coming here and we'll be making bread together with my wheat. Because, you know, I don't know. It's even more than what the politicians are doing, people. I mean, whatever's going on in British Columbia, Canada, in that BC bubble, where nothing bad happens and everybody's happy, right? You know what I'm saying? They don't control the wheat supply. They don't. They do in a roundabout way, you know, like a domino effect, right? You know, in terms of bankrupting economies and bankrupting, you know, whole sectors and of you know, services, and bankrupting families and just bankrupting, right? You know, it's, I suppose in that way, yeah, they're bankrupting the wheat supply. So I don't want to depend completely on Pastor Granny to give me bread. Don't get me wrong, I'm very happy to have it. As a matter of fact, I am going to take some of this bread, rebag it, because it comes unbagged, right? Put it in the fridge, and I'm going to, because I don't need breadcrumbs now. I told her I don't need a lot of bread. I got lots of breadcrumbs. She goes, breadcrumbs? What do you need breadcrumbs for? And I'm like, well, you know, right? Waiting for doomsday, you know, whatever. It's good to mix things in with, right? You know, you can spread it out. And, you know, I always got bread. Don't worry, don't worry. And I'm like, yeah, I know you always have bread, but, you know, one day I'll move, one day she'll move, you know, or one day maybe the company will shut down because it can't get wheat, and then what? Right? I can't wait to find out. I have to know that whatever is going on, you know, my family will be able to make bread, providing it's not taken away from them. And based on the history of my family and what we've been through under that manufactured protocol, just as you think as you get yourself to a point where you're going to be okay and, and just progress in a positive way, oh no, you get slapped down. You don't, and it comes from any direction, and when you least expect it sometimes, people. That's why I tell Andre, if something happens to Nana and I have to go away, or somebody tries to take you away and Amari away, because I'm trying to fight for you, and right, in terms of I'm not allowing them to be inoculated with this shit, people. I'm not, okay? We went through too much with Sierra's addiction. We don't need to create any more, all right? Especially when it's clearly up for debate as to what it is that they're putting into people's bodies, okay? And that's a terrible way to live your life when you're telling your 11-year-old grandson that if something happens to Nana and she's not here, and I'm still, like, alive, quote unquote, just remember that I'm fighting for you, okay? Right? I mean, what kind of life is that? What kind of life are the local politicians in the province of British Columbia, Canada, providing to their constituency? When the constituency is compelled to tell their grandchildren that they haven't been abandoned by the ones that love them, because the ones that love them are actually fighting for them. This is just another means to fight. Right? That's a blue jay. They want food. I was supposed to feed them. I'm going to go get some bird food, and I'm going to feed the blue jays and the little chickadees. I fed the hummingbird yesterday.